In this video, the takeoff point was a little bit to the south of Soledad, right off of Highway 101. There were probably 3 or 4 minutes where I had to fly south to get ready to go to this spot and start over. I wanted to quickly point out in the very top and at the very beginning of the video, you can see places where there are these sharp hills that come down from the east down onto the valley. We don't see them now, but those were what I was talking about when I was explaining how the fields have been flattened out. So what they've done is they've cut along the edges and moved that dirt out over the field to get it to be a flat plane on the fields. Now we're headed back north towards Soledad and right over the Salinas River. I've been noticing in these videos the plant matter, the organic matter that is evident on these videos is not decomposing. So there's no decomposition happening that I can tell on the river bottom through the video. Well, what that means is that there's no biological activity to perform the biodegradation, to break down that organic matter for all these dead plants that have dried up and died. This is facing back towards the Arroyo Seiko. That's right up in the middle of the top of the screen. There is the inlet to the Arroyo Seiko River as well as to Carmel Valley Road. That road will go over the area of the Santa Lucia. It's not a very high area. Obviously, it's a pass, so it has a road over it. So you could get from Greenfield to directly over Carmel Valley Road to the ocean using that route. And we're heading back to Soledad, and as you can see, there are a large number, again, of fields that are not planted. Slide the camera down a little bit so that we can look more directly down onto the river bottom. You can see this farmer's fence line here has pushed about as close to the river bottom as you could possibly get. I decided to change altitudes there a little bit. These islands, if you will, that are sitting in the middle of the river bottom in the sand down here, I was thinking about the history of those and realizing that when there was water in the river, those were growing water plants, and those areas were habitat for fish. So a great deal of the nutrients that were deposited over tens of thousands of years in the Salinas Valley onto these fields came from this source, this origin. We have these fields just directly ahead. As you can tell, there's not a single tree, not even one, between the edge of the field and the river area here. Those trees have all been eliminated to make it simple for the farmers to drive their tractors out onto the edges of the fields. Convenience is the operative term. I think you'll find through all the flights and all the time that we spend on these videos that is the driving force. So there's convenience and profit. Unfortunately, the profit is much harder to get now that the amount of inputs required to grow a crop have gone through the roof because there's nothing in that soil that will grow a crop. I talked about the soil being turned into hydroponic medium. It's really just the same. If you take a plant and put it into hydroponic medium, you can water it all day and it will never mature. You'll never get fruit off of it. You'll never get any nourishment out of whatever grows. It would be what a lot of my omnivorous friends call a eating grass. About a year ago, I was eating a lot of salad, and then all of a sudden I got to the point where I just can't bring myself to eat any salads anymore. So this flight started with that whole distance. The majority of it had to fly. I had to fly north so that I could get to the start of or the end of my last flight. So we're reaching the end of this flight, and you can see where the overpass of Highway 101 is coming up. That Soledad up to the top right there. And this is where the overpass over, or the bridge over the Salinas River is in South Soledad. So our next flight's going to take off just on the other side of Soledad, and we'll come down to the other side there to the left. We're going to come back and view it from there, and that's where the next flight will start. So this is the end of this flight.